Hey, what is up everybody, Blaze for here, and today for you guys another video of Persona 5X. And inside of today's video, guys, we are actually going to be going over the character herself, Riddle. Now this is something that I've been meaning to do for quite some time now, and we are finally getting around to doing so, and that is actually showcasing this character. She is a side buffer who's able to increase allies damage or damage dealt, while also helping out everybody in general with being pretty much lowly invested. This character is going to be absolutely amazing, or has been absolutely amazing throughout the entire game. So of course we had to do a video showcasing her and exactly what she can really do. But with that in mind, let's go ahead and just break this down as usual into her best sets, her best teams, and even more so. So let's get into it. Alright, so getting past the introduction here, we're going to be checking out Riddle's actual dupes and should you possibly dupe this character out. And I'll just straight up say it, hands down, yes you should. She is a standard character that is absolutely amazing, to be honest, and she doesn't really take all too much to actually build. This character, that I did say before, is an amazing buffer, especially when it comes down to the attack that she's able to increase, as well as the damage dealt, and her actual abilities when it comes down to duping her isn't all too bad. Just for having her at least A0, which you guys can see right here, you're not only able to at least consume certain amounts of stacks of childlike fun here, but you're also able to increase all your attacks but at least all your allies attack by 8% for 2 whole turns. This apparently can be stacked up to 5 turns as well, so that's already just based off the basic passive, but it gets even better once we actually get her A1. Her A1 is very easy to get here, especially since she is this standard character, and it actually increases her attack by 20 whole percent whenever allies deal damage with a skill. This can actually be stacked up to a whopping 3 stacks here, meaning you can get yourself at least 60% attack up, especially if you can go ahead and stack this up here. Now this does dispel after you do use a skill the next time, so it only will be actually stacked for each character who are using this in that round, instead of being actually commutative or at least accumulative through every last round. So that's already just pretty okay, and it's not really the worst thing ever. She did have a different kit in the beta, but this actually made her really look good. With her A3 here, as usual, she's ended up giving herself some more things of gaining for childhood like fun, which is her little chest box that's near her face here, and that gives you more and more of those stacks, which each time can increase your allies attack percentage by 18%. This is actually nice because when you then use the third skill, exuberant innocence here, it actually gives you another max stack of childlike fun, which can actually help you out in her whole entire kit. Later on, of course, if you are using the highlight of being the A5, you're getting yourself an extended amount for damage dealt, which is always nice, leading into the most broken thing, which of course is her A6, where now she gains a curiosity explosion after she has at least 5 stacks of childlike fun. And what this pretty much does, it increases the damage dealt by a whopping 75% whenever she does damage to an enemy, or anyone does damage to an enemy, though right after their turn, of course, or after the skill, it would end up dispelling afterwards. So of course you do have one good and at least nice little hit to get in, but after that is going to of course dispel. All in all, pretty solid at least awarenesses here, nothing too bad. As usual, I would definitely say dupe her up, especially since she is a standard character. This is going to be pretty much a really good investment. But now that we went over her at least awarenesses, what's going to be her actual skill priority? Let's go take a look. Okay, so checking out this character's actual skill priorities here, we have a few things that you guys really want to go ahead and focus. The first thing that you guys are going to look at is definitely going to be this little buff right here. The main reason for it is because it's part of her whole entire kit here, which is the childlike form. Pretty much when you have this whole childlike fun little passive, which are the little chest boxes, by gaining so many of these, she's actually able to deal at least a different buff. At least in general, she's actually able to increase your allies attack in general by 10% for 2 whole turns, And then if you do have 2 or more stacks, this actually changes into damage dealt for at least every 1% of her 100 attack for 2 whole turns, up to a whopping 48%. This is actually really good here. I currently actually have it to around 50% currently, but of course once we do get this fully upgraded, it'll be even higher than that. This is mainly just because we do have dupes into this character, so we already have the 50% when really we should be lower. Pretty much if you do have her fully duped, you can get to a maxed amount of like 51.8%, as you guys can see on the screen, and that's already a lot for this character. But the next thing that you guys want to go ahead and dupe up is actually going to be her ultimate. Her ultimate is actually really good as well, because it helps her out in total, especially when it comes out to at least increasing the damage dealt on the enemy. Pretty much when you do the ultimate, it will increase this damage dealt by 7.8%. And if you do have stacks of childlike fun that we were talking about earlier, it actually can up that number even higher. Since I do have her duped out, she's giving me 8% right then and there, which is always nice. And then of course we get a decent attack bonus as well, since we do have her duped up. But all in all, this is a pretty decent highlight, and I actually really got to kind of star it up, because as you guys can see, it goes from exactly what we have currently, which is the 8% and things like that here. It can actually go up to 8.1, leading to a good 8.3, which is always nice in general to see. And of course our one more is always getting the buff as well. Now with that in mind, you want to go ahead and do her second skill as the third priority skill here. This one you're not going to use too often as much as we thought we did here, but it does still come in handy. This one allows you to actually get healing receive bonus as well as shield bonus by 17.6% at max. But of course, 17.6% at max. But of course, when it does come down to at least actually getting defense here, you're able to get yourself 34.2%. Now I currently have 35.6%, mainly because I do have those dupes, but this helps you out because it lasts actually for 2 whole turns. Now alongside, when using this skill with at least 0 stacks, she's able to actually have herself gain 2 extra stacks. So it kind of weighs itself out, but you're not really going to be using this all too much, because this third skill is going to be your main ordeal, and that's going to be what you really want to aim for. The last one that you guys really want to use, and technically you are going to use it a little bit more than this, but buffs are a little bit more important than the regular attacks themselves. This one you're going to use quite a lot, and it's going to be paired with this one here. Main reasoning for this is because this allows her not only to give her allies a certain buff here, but she also gains a stack of childlike fun. Once you of course get into her kit a little bit more, you're going to need these stacks a lot more often, and seeing you're going to be spamming the skill 3 with the skill 1 here, this is going to help you out a ton. It pretty much allows the ally that you're doing here to deal way more damage and stack up as many childhood, or at least childlike funds as possible, allowing her to at least help your team get all of those buffs more often and use them wisely. So in all honesty, you want to go with this one being the first priority, second priority, third priority, then this is the fourth. Or if you really want to just go ahead and only use her just for mainly the third skill and first skill, you can go ahead and use this as the first priority, second priority with the ultimate, and then third priority with the basic attack, leaving the other buff as the fourth priority, because we really don't use it all too much unless we really get into a bind. But all in all, those are the priorities you guys want to go ahead and look at. Let's go ahead and get into the weapon options. Now when it comes down to this character's weapon options here, your boy actually hasn't been too lucky. We managed to get her 4-star weapon, and we don't really have anything else to show for it, but she does of course have a few other weapons that are at her disposal. So seeing that we are, or at least on the 4-star weapon right now, the 4-star weapon itself can help you out a decent bit. With no dupes, the 4-star weapon actually increases your attack by 12%. With max dupes, it gives it a 24% here, which is already good for her whole entire kit. But alongside of this here, the weapon itself, whenever using a skill on different allies, you're able to increase their attack by 2.4%, and if duped out, a 4.5% for 2 whole turns. And then based on how many attack buff effects they have, this can actually be able to at least stack 3 times as well, which is really nice. Now of course, this is a 4-star weapon, pretty easy to actually get this duped out, and I would say it's pretty good of a weapon. But all in all, her 5-star weapon is of course where it's at here, and we're gonna go ahead and take a look exactly at what that does. So we go ahead and just click into this, and I'm just gonna go ahead and actually click this as well, which you guys can technically read this for the translation. But all in all, what this 5-star weapon does is it increases your attack percentage to a whopping 30%, which is already 6% higher than the 4-star weapon, allowing this to be a lot better than the at least 4-star weapon here. But at the same time, whenever she is consuming stacks of childlike fun, she will actually gain an equal number of whimsical thoughts here, which what this allows her to do, this will last for 2 whole turns, but this increases your attack by a whopping 17%, and if you're a whale, at 32% by having this fully maxed out. When a teammate is actually dealing some damage here, or either using anything and actually dealing some damage, she then will use at least 1 whole stack of this actual buff here, and you will gain increased damage dealt by 17%, going to a whopping 32% if you actually dupe it out. It's actually a really freaking good weapon, and probably is only her best option, though of course if you're like me and you don't have the 5-star weapon, the 4-star weapon isn't all too bad. So although it does make a little bit of a difference, you can very well be able to live without having that said 5-star weapon, and a lot of you guys might enjoy that a decent bit. But now that we went over her weapon options, let's go ahead and get into the best gear set and more. Okay, so when it gets into this character's actual best gear set here, there's really only one gear set for her, and that is going to be the basic old gear set, this one right here. Now the reason why we're going to be using this one is because it just only boosts her attack. This character only needs attack, that is all she needs inside of her actual kit, and the more attack that we have, the better she'll be. And the same can be said for at least everything that she's going to be utilizing. Now don't pay attention that I do have a crit damage one of these on right now. This is mainly just because I was trying to do stuff in a hurry, and I kind of had to just slap something on Riddle currently for this one. But for at least the things that you want to go ahead and look for main stats, you want to go ahead and use, of course, the HP on the first sun stat, but attack on the moon, attack on the star, and attack on the planet. Now for substats, the only things you really do need, and this is why I say she is so easy to build, is the only things that you're actually going to be utilizing is just the attack percent substats and the speed substats. Now, I didn't even notice that I didn't have the right freaking one on. I must have took it off by mistake. But for her actual arcane card, you guys want to use the growth arcane card. This allows her to get a decent buff as well to actually help out your entire team deal some nice old damage here. And that is exactly what we want, because this is allowing you to give that nice buff to everybody and really elevate your team. So once again, let's go ahead and go back through. HP on the sun one, attack on the moon, attack on the star, attack on Saturn, and then for substats is just going to be attack and speed. This pretty much is going to make her the absolute buff queen for yourself, so surely do get this up, especially if you want her to do the best that she can deal. But now that we went over that, let's go inside and check out her best team comps. All right, so going ahead and checking out this character's best team comps here, she literally just pairs with anybody. There is not a single soul that she pairs wrong with here, and that's because she just scales off attack. Any character that needs a little bit of an attack buffer or is a multi-hitting type person, she will excel at buffing them. So Joker, she can go on his team. Closer, she can go on that team. Bowie, she can go on that team. Any DPS, she can pretty much fit on that team. And when we do have a side DPS, aka Haru, when she does come out, Riddle will definitely be going on that team quite easily, because all she is there to do is to buff your team with just attack. She even is a little bit more flexible as well, allowing her to buff HP and things of that nature as well. So truly, there's no team that she can really go wrong on unless you're using Yusuke, but even then, she still kind of has a little bit of a spot there. All in all, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash that like button, which beforehand, consider subscribing if you are new. I do daily videos for P5X here, and of course we're going to continue doing more. hopefully you all entered that giveaway. So till next time, peace out.